Let's start this video off with a little activity that highlights the power of the human brain and how it can impact how we invest and ultimately our returns on our investment. I'm going to play a sound for you. The sound is a little distorted, but you're going to hear the computer voice say the word green needle. Ready? Here it goes. Did you hear the word green needle or did you hear something else? Okay, now I want you to listen and see if you can hear the word brainstorm. Here you go. What I love about this activity is that both times I played the same audio clip. The only difference is that I told you what you were going to hear, and that is exactly what you heard. While our brains are incredibly powerful computers, they are not without their faults, and they can be easily tricked. So what does this have to do with investing and me selling some of my gold and silver at an LCS? Well, for some of you, all you've ever heard from people on YouTube are narratives about gold and silver premiums, why it's better to purchase sovereign coins in particular, and in a general sentiment that coins and smaller bars are a better purchase than larger bars. Hopefully by the end of this video, I will dispel some of the beliefs with real numbers from my recent sale. Unfortunately, no matter what I say, some of you are only going to hear the equivalent of green needle, which is commonly bantered about on YouTube. My hope is that my experience will introduce something different, like the word. Before I get into it, I need to put out two disclaimers. One, to my folks outside the US that have to deal with VATs and other government tax rules, you have a very different situation. And two, for those in smaller markets where you don't have a lot of LCSs, your experiences may be very different. As I always say, you have to know your market, so make sure you talk with your LCS and then let the math drive your decision making. So what exactly happened when I went to sell some of my gold and silver? First, I'm going to recommend that you always call your LC in advance to let them know that you want to sell and ask them if they need anything in particular in terms of size or type. Selling what they may be in need of will help you and only strengthens the relationship. Luckily for me, my LCS didn't care. After a few, I showed up with a 1 ounce gold commemorative coin that was an Alex Calderon coin that I got from SD Bullion when they ran a special some time ago, and I was able to get it for $19.99 over spot. I also brought in a 1/2 ounce Core of the Sea commemorative coin and 2 1/4 ounce maple and a Philharmonic, and as well as a British sovereign. So you understand, my LCS, my gold LCS in particular, has some of the best premiums I've ever seen when buying. Plus, he's a little fond of me, so I generally purchase items anywhere from 3 to 6% over spot. Because he's offered lower premiums, he makes his money on the spread between what he buys items for, and as a result, he only offers 96% of spot when you sell, while most LCSs will offer spot. Now, let me share what exactly he did. He took all my coins, added up the weight, multiplied it by the spot price, and then gave me 96% of the amount. He didn't care about the coins being commemorative or sovereign. Why? Because as we always say here, gold is gold and silver is silver. 30 seconds later, he handed me a stack of cash, and I had liquidity in the form of cash that I needed. Not the best when it comes to getting top dollar when you have to sell. This is why I also preach the importance of having multiple LCSs, because you might find that they all do things a little differently. In addition to the gold, I also decided to sell around 204 ounces of silver and 2 more foreign gold coins. And I knew that transaction would be better suited for my other LCS. So a week later or so, I called ahead like normal. And when I got there, I plopped a 100 ounce bar, 2 kilo bars, 4 10 ounce bars, and 2 gold sovereigns. First, they didn't care about the different types of 10 ounce bars. They gave me spot, which was $25 per ounce for each of those bars, independent of the make. They did the same thing for the gold sovereign coins. When it came to the 100 ounce bar and the kilos, they gave me $1 below spot, or $24 an ounce, which is actually what I fully expected. Which is the next point I want to highlight. As I've always shared, I love big bars and I cannot lie. Some of you remember that classic video I did with Sir Sack a lot. At any rate, I love big bars because they allow me to get the most metal I can for my money. Almost every one of my kilos I've purchased at around $1.99 over spot. While some of you will frown on the fact that I only got $1 below spot on those big bars, that's pretty normal. But make sure you do the math. I had a $1.99 in premium on the front end and lost $1 on the back end. So ultimately, I had $3 per ounce in terms of spread. Compare that to some of the 10 ounce bars that I paid anywhere from $4.50 to $5.50 over spot. Sure, I got spot on those 10-ounce bars because 10-ounce bars are easier to sell. Regardless, I didn't get my entire premium back. You don't have to be a math genius to see that my $3 per ounce in the kilo bars, that cost is far better than, let's say, the $5 per ounce I had to pay for those 10-ounce bars. Not to mention, I actually bought the 100-ounce bar at spot a while back. So it was all around a win in my book. I know I've shared a lot here about my transactions, so let me just summarize some very key points that I want you to take away from my selling experience. 1, always call your LCS in advance. 2, gold is gold and silver is silver when you're selling to your LCS. So 3, don't waste your money on high premium items because, remember point number 2, for the most part, they aren't going to distinguish between the various types when you sell. And 4, yes, may have gotten an extra 50 cents or so if I had sold some sovereign coins, but again, do the math and you'll see that the math just doesn't math when you compare your acquisition cost of coins versus what you receive on the back end. Generics are still the best way to go. 5, the LCS, they are always buying. So the quote, more liquid coins or items is total BS. The LCS where I sold my silver told me that everyone was selling and they were up to their ears in silver. But guess what? They still bought everything I brought in. In fact, he asked if he could give me half in cash and half in check because they were getting so low on cash. 6, if you can afford them, big bars are your best value. I know some of you are going to say, but you can't break up a kilo and only sell a few ounces at a time. To which I would say, when it comes to silver, in what scenario would you ever really be selling less than 10 ounces? There's no way I would be liquidating my stack to address a $200 or 6-ounce silver problem. I liquidated some of my stack because I had a $20,000 problem. Finally, some of you are inevitably thinking, well, why did you ever even sell to your gold LCS when he only pays you 96% of the spot price? It's about relationships. My gold LCS has been so good to me, and as I've shared some of the deals I've gotten over the years on this channel, I felt like I needed to show him a little love. I can't underscore the importance of the relationship with your LCS, not only when you buy, but when you sell. I am certain that given our relationship and the reasons why I was selling, I could have squeezed a little more out of him. But at what future cost was what I had to consider. I rather squeeze my LCS when I'm buying as opposed to selling. You simply can't squeeze them on both ends. Plus, and more importantly, as the math shows, you make your money in this game when you buy at a low premium, not when you sell. And that is where I rather push for a better price. In the comments section, answer this. Are you surprised that I got the same price for all the gold coins? What about the spread on those big bars? Did that surprise you? What did you take away from this video? Or simply put an A+ in the grade book so everyone knows that you always stack smarter and never stop learning. Now, all of that leads me to the sponsor portion of this video, which I hope you stick around for because in my last video, I shared some quotes from Rick Rule about having a willingness to sell our metals, particularly to acquire a different asset or other investment opportunities. Special thanks to TRAC Uranium for sponsoring this video. Stock ticker TRCTF. If you've been around for a while, you know the way that I'm preparing for the coming commodity bull market is with physical metals as my #1 position and mining stocks for leveraged growth. Within my mining stocks portfolio, I'm about 60% in what I call monetary metal miners, gold, silver, and some platinum, 25% uranium, 10% oil and gas, and about 5% copper, lithium, and a touch of battery metals. Now, this isn't investment advice, but simply what I'm doing. I'm positioned this way because no matter what the Fed and policymakers around the world do to kick the can down the road, there are a few things that we know for certain. 1, the commodity bull cycle can only be delayed and not stopped. 2, because of all this money printing and the coming second wave of inflation, gold and silver will become the ultimate safe haven. And 3, we simply do not have enough of the natural resources needed to reach the green agenda movement goals, which means oil, coal, wind, solar are not enough for our future energy needs. And after decades of being on the outside looking in, uranium is finally being recognized for its incredible ability to provide safe and very green baseload energy. I continue to become more and more bullish on uranium because we are literally watching our world bifurcate itself between basically what we will call the G7 nations and the BRICS. The Russian-Ukraine war has only accelerated this division, which means we cannot continue to rely on other countries like China and Russia to supply our uranium needs. So we will have to rely on domestic production, which is abysmal in the US. Or we're going to have to look to our friends to the north, meaning Canada, and junior mining companies like Traction. What's truly exciting about Traction Uranium is that they are still in the process drilling out their project. And if you remember, there are two key points in the mining development process where you can see the greatest gains. The first is between when a company begins drilling and announcing drill results, and the second is when a company moves to producing and bringing the product to market. Next, Traction Uranium has been using very interesting technology to refine their drilling process, which hopefully will lead to greater success. It involves conducting airborne magnetic, electromagnetic, and radiometric surveying. Another positive mark for Traction Uranium is they are drilling in the resource-rich and renowned Athabasca uranium basin. We all know the saying, the best place to find something is where it's been found previously. Well, a few kilometers away, a world-class deposit was found by geologist Dr. Pan. And guess who is now working as a technical advisor for Traction Uranium? Yep, Dr. Pan. And he's already identified some potentially interesting locations for drilling. If that wasn't enough, there's another geologist on the team that has pioneered a new technique for exploring, and no other company has access to him or this technique. While all this sounds great, whenever we evaluate a mining company, we always have to ask the question about company ownership, especially before we invest our money. It's extremely important to know who also has skin in this game with you. And with Traction Uranium, more than 50% of the stock is held by its owners. This definitely qualifies as skin in the game in my book. It's safer to infer that with this level of ownership, they believe in the project enough to back it with their own money. This makes me feel more confident and comfortable because I know the owners are financially committed to the success of the company. In addition to the 55% ownership, another 30% of the stock is held by institutional investors, including mining legend Eric Sprott and Sprott Capital. I don't know about you, but I feel pretty good anytime I have the opportunity to hold what Eric Sprott sees value in. One of the last points I want to make is, as you can see from this price chart, the stock has been under pressure like most uranium stocks. And at around 33 cents per share, this looks like a great entry point to buy a company that not too long ago traded at over $1 per share. It's very easy for me to make the argument that at 33 cents, this is a sell price equivalent to buying a winter coat at a deep discount during the summer. Traction Uranium is definitely a stock that I will continue to watch, as it's a junior with some real potential and significant upside. As always, you have to do your due diligence, be your own investor, because you and only you have to live with the results. Here's the stock ticker again, TRCTF, and I'll provide some links in the description so you can learn more about Traction Uranium.